It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville, to be specific. My name is Brian, and this is the Unhappy Hour here on the New American Media, on the TNAM network, because the news always matters. And this is one of those stories where the sporting world, I cover sports. I do a show called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. And The Unhappy Hour Sports Show focuses on the life of somebody like me who's a Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland Browns, and Ohio State Buckeye fan. A lot of misery, a lot of close calls, a lot of missed opportunities, heartbreak, drama, sadness. But it's just sports. I also do a show called Agree to Disagree. The Agree to Disagree show covers political events, current events, important events. We do preparedness shows. We have groups about growing food, TNAM Grow Something, TNAM Health. We cover music. We cover sports. We cover all sorts of things. So here's what's going on this week. In the world of TNAM music, Coachella and Stagecoach have been canceled. That's actually kind of a tongue twister. Coachella and Stagecoach have been canceled. That's a weird one. Stagecoach and Coachella have been canceled. In the world of sports, the NBA season has been canceled. Nope, they just pressed pause. They suspended the season. Maybe like John McCain during the height of the last crisis. He suspended his campaign for a day and a half, and then he came back. LeBron James said, by the way, we're not playing in empty arenas, and then he later learned about the issue that he was commenting on and said, I guess maybe something different might have been a better choice. I wish he would have done that with Trayvon Martin. He didn't have all the facts in that case, but he jumped to a conclusion and then offered his opinion, and that leads to issues. Just study the facts of the case. That's been my biggest issue with LeBron James his whole career. Although I'm a LeBron James fan, I think LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. I appreciate his championship for the city of Cleveland, and we're allowed to have complicated opinions of other people. We don't need to either worship them or hate them. Most people are somewhere in between. By the way, if you're not in our sports group, it's called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. You should join it. We're broadcasting that live on Facebook right now. Over here, you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. We also have a separate dedicated channel for sports, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the NBA season has been canceled after LeBron James said we're not going to play to empty arenas. And then he said, I guess maybe we could. You're seeing soccer matches, tennis matches, golf matches, all sorts of stuff get canceled. In the world of music, you also saw, there's some weird phraseology I'm using today. You also saw in the world of music, South by Southwest got canceled as well. Massive. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people. People who are booking hotel rooms, people who are on airline flights, people who are eating out in restaurants, people who are running around town in Ubers, people are going to the bars, people who are going to strip clubs, people who are buying merchandise, people who are exploring the city, people who are taking tours, and everything that people do. So music has been impacted, sports has been impacted, airlines have been impacted, hotels have been impacted. And then today, President Trump gave a state of emergency address. I don't know, what was the official phraseology? Maybe that's my phrase of the day. By the way, the drink, the show is called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. It is The Unhappy Hour because as a bartender, it just seemed like it made sense for the show name. But that is dark rum, that's regular rum, that's banana rum, that is 2 types of banana and daiquiri mixer. And if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out like this. I'm not going to die out with a Corona. So cheers. Tell me what you're sipping on. Leave it in the comments. And yes, that's my metal straw, because go environment. So that's the quick update of what's going on in the world. I can give you some of the other bullet points. I'll just go to Man, today's one of those days you could equally go on ESPN.com or you could go on DrudgeReport.com and you're going to get the same information. But let's go through this, shall we? Oh, God. All right, here we go. From Drudge Report. By the way, today's date for all of you across the galaxy, this is Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. I'm sorry, 2000. How do you say that? 2020? That's wonky as well. 2020. I guess that goes to show you how often I speak about 2020. What's up, Michael Ray? Cheers, Coolio. What are you sipping on over there? You got some Bird Dog? Michael and I, go check him out. He's Smile Project Louisville. Anyway, Drudge was on fire. All right, well, let's go through this. These are just some of the headlines off of Drudge Report on Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. Tests indicate coronavirus can survive in the air. I don't like talking like that. Tests indicate the coronavirus can survive in the air. A wave of cancellations as an outbreak spreads. Italy expands its shutdown to nearly all stores. Trump fury at the Federal Reserve. Explosive tirade. Businesses see plummeting sales. Job losses have begun. Stocks move into a bear market. Poll, president's approval holds at 40%. And by the way, you can have a lot of sorry, I'm on Drudge Report looking at the picture. This is an old lady, presumably in a nursing home. Who am I looking at? And there's two people outside waving at her, and she kind of has her hand up by her mouth as if to blow a kiss. I've heard stories of elderly patients who cannot leave their nursing home, and their families can't come visit. And I just had to bury my mother. And thinking about not being able to see your loved ones. We have to talk about that. Why can't you see your loved ones? Because someone says you can't? On what authority? Or so we've entered martial law? We need to talk about this. We need to discuss this. I know other people that are surviving that cruise ship scare in San Francisco. It's early. I think there's a 2-week incubation period or a 2-week self-quarantine period. Or it's not self-quarantine. I misspoke. Mandatory quarantine with military bases involved. You got to go to Drudge Report. I don't know. Here, I'll show you on this. Let's see. Here, I'm gonna show for the. There we go. There's a woman, and she's through a window, and she can't see her family. That's the narrative I'm putting on it. I'm not sure if that's exact or not, but I did hear that story today. But back to the president's approval holding at 40%. Sorry, that picture was very distracting. It's Pulitzer worthy. It could be photo of the year, whatever I'm looking at here. But if you're being polled and if you think that President Trump should be held accountable or responsible for this black swan event, I don't know what else to tell you other than I really hope you can pull your head out. This is a black swan economic event. This is This is officially now a global pandemic. If anything, this president acted fast. And comparing this to other situations over the years, H1N1, swine flu, bird flu, I mean, the numbers were way bigger. And this one is being blown perhaps way out of proportion. So on one hand, either it is. The other hand, maybe it's not. Maybe there's more to this than we're being told. Maybe this is worse than we're being told. And we don't know that. So what we need to do in the meantime is just be prepared and have a game plan. Going through the rest of these stories here. White House told health agency to classify deliberations. Iran and Russian media push bioweapon conspiracies. There you go. Fears China is harvesting organs from Muslim prisoners. I'm sorry, but if you ignored the case of Otto Warmbier and what's happening with the Uyghurs in China, if you haven't paid any attention, once again, back to the LeBron James thing. If you're going to acquiesce to China's temper tantrums and not realize that you're doing business with a monstrous regime, a dangerous regime, and you're just now figuring out that harvesting organs from Muslim prisoners is... If you're just now finding out that that's a possibility, welcome to dinner. You're very late. I don't think there's any food left in the kitchen, but you're free to look around. You know what? If you want, I'll look through the cabinets with you. I'll make you some soup or something. But this has been my problem from the beginning. We haven't been able to trust a single thing coming out of China. For weeks, China's stories didn't add up. For weeks, China allowed this thing to spread. For weeks, China could have warned all of us. But that's what happens in a communist regime. You are the state and you are God. That's what's different about America. We separate those things. Doesn't mean that we disconnect from the Creator and the concept of there being an eternal life, an eternal soul. What it means is that we're free to practice those things without government hindrance. Doesn't mean they're completely banned. But in countries like China, they are God. They're the judge, the jury, the executioner. What they did to Otto Warmbier from Ohio, I believe. If you're not familiar with that case, you need to familiarize yourself with that case. Now, I'm conflating North Korea with China. I'm aware of that. Because there are brutal totalitarian regimes that exist on planet Earth in 2020. There are real issues. Continuing through the list of stories here on Drudge Report. Top doctor says it's 10 times more lethal than the flu. Okay. All right, now we're seeing some numbers here. Most Americans will likely be exposed. Yes, likely. X-rays show terrifying damage in the lungs of victims. Ugh. Political leaders are at risk. Trump bans all travel from Europe for 30 days. Massive story. One of the biggest takeaways from his State of the Union, State of Emergency speech today. JetBlue CEO says the impact is probably worse than 9/11. The young capitalize on cheap flights. If I die, I die. Are you in that camp? I don't know, I'm thinking about it. If I die, I die. Oh! I gotta check this story out. Oh, why can't I... I gotta get these browsers working again. Sorry, my show has been in shambles. I've been living on Facebook, in the Facebook groups, Agree to Disagree, The New American Media, The Unhappy Hour. That's where I've been living. So I got to get all these systems up, get all these browsers back up, get my system set up, get the studio set back up, and come to you on a regular basis. I apologize once again for this delay. I've been in a transitional period. The super rich have now jetted off to their disaster bunkers. I've got to read that story. All right, so the headline stories here on Drudge Report. Germany, 70% of people will be infected. Tom Hanks tests positive. NBA suspends season. How about that? How about that for your headline? Germany says 70% of the people will be infected. Tom Hanks tests positive for coronavirus. NBA suspends their season. Right. Let's switch over to ESPN real quick. Sources say that Rudy Gobert has the coronavirus. The Jazz and Thunder players are quarantined. Wednesday's Oklahoma City Thunder Utah Jazz game at Chesapeake Energy Arena in Oklahoma City was postponed before tip-off after a player tested positive for the coronavirus, the NBA said in a statement. The player is the Jazz's Rudy Gobert, sources told ESPN. Jazz and Thunder players were being quarantined at the arena, sources said. They're being quarantined at the arena. They're sharing the locker room, they're sharing the food, they're sharing the court, they're sharing the sweat. The Jazz will need to coordinate with Oklahoma and Salt Lake City public health organizations before they can return to Utah, sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The NBA said in a statement that the player's test result was reported shortly before tip-off. Oh man, I'm sorry guys. I don't know why it's not loading these comments. If you've been leaving comments, it has not been repopulating. Let me scroll through real quick. I'll get back to the story about Rudy Gobert and the NBA suspending in a second. Michael Ray saying Drudge was on fire. My man. Okay, Michael's saying that this is fear, and that's so funny. Mike Beckwith is saying lawsuits. Hey, anytime we can bring up lawsuits, I'm a fan. It is a bedtime story. Yikes. Yikes is right. Yes, Kim. Are you prepared? Are you ready? Now, pause for just 1 second. Let me make sure this is, I got to open this window. Check, make sure we're still recording. Good, we're still good. Sorry about the lighting. I'll work on this. Cheers once again. Type in, tell me if you're sipping on a beverage tonight. So if you frequent Trader Joe's, I brought this up the other day. I noticed that like around Christmas, they changed the theme of their card reader. When you put your credit card in that chip reader, it normally has like this weird kind of tone. And then they changed it for Christmas, some sort of here come the bells, ding 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 ding. I forget what it was exactly, but it was something Christmassy and not religious. Let it snow, except, oh, that's a bad one too. That's about date rape. I forgot. But Trader Joe's changes to something Christmassy. And what was it before that? October, I think they did something like a Nightmare Before Christmas jingle. Or something spooky, like the Halloween. They changed the jingle, depending on the season. And so I told the cashier, because I was going and picking up maybe a few extra things. Some canned goods, some long-term perishables, perhaps, maybe some water, maybe some supplies, maybe something you should be doing and not waiting. Because if you look at the empty shelves, most people are not prepared. But I told the cashier, I said, hey, can you talk to your manager, when you get a chance after the shift, can you address your manager and ask them to change the tone, the little jingle that plays on your card reader? I said, it should go, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. I thought that was pretty funny. Gotta keep some humor, guys. This is probably way overblown. Or is it? Cheers, got your claw. What flavor claw? Because there's new claws. And I thought at Christmas time, White Claw missed an opportunity there. They should have made Santa Claus, made peppermint. They should have made Santa Claus for White Claws, peppermint. Toilet paper, yeah. You should get some of that. That's a good idea. Just imagine. Look, the thing about toilet paper is it doesn't go bad. Put a couple extra rolls, put a couple extra cases in your basement, in your closet. It's not going to go bad. It won't turn sour. Because guess what? The shelves are pretty empty. All the Clorox, all the hand sanitizer, a lot of the cleaning products, a lot of the hand soap, a lot of the toilet paper. So go get some. Stop waiting. Here's the thing you need to realize. And now we're going to cross into TNAM preparedness real quick. And please go back through our videos. We've done videos for like 8 years. We have several bug out bag videos where we go through different things. And I've been able to raid that for long-term survival of food. Some N95 masks. You're going to want to have some of these. Nowhere near enough of these. But it's a chance to go through your preparedness gear and make sure that you're stocked up just in case. You want to have a few things. But here's what you need to know about COVID-19, aka the coronavirus. What you need to know is, if it's a deadly AIDS-like killer pandemic and we're just not being told the severity of just how bad it really is yet, you're going to want to be stocked up. But let's just say you think the media is blowing this completely out of proportion. And by the way, if you think that, I'm going to also agree with you. Doesn't matter. What matters is that the Dow Jones is down, what, roughly 7,000 points? What, almost a third? 30%, 25%? In just a month and a half, 2 months? Sorry, I don't have all the specific math here. But it went from roughly $30,000 to roughly $23,000. Call 29 to 24, and that's still down 5,000 out of that's 1/6. Whatever. The stock market is down. The shelves are empty at the stores. You're going to want to stock up on medicines. Get a couple extra months of the important stuff. Get it now. Get the hand sanitizer. Get the hand soap. Get the hand lotion that goes along with it. Thank you, Jason, for pointing that out. You know, with all this hand sanitizer, you're going to have dry, cracked hands. What about all the moisturizer? Go get some moisturizer. Mango. And love the new lemons. Yeah, I like the new pack, new flavor pack. I had that the other day. I was impressed. I was very impressed with the new White Claw. But anyway, the point is, whether this virus is as deadly as the media and all of these overreactions, potential overreactions, are making it seem, it's very contagious. Yes, maybe it's only killing the super old, but if it's saying that the damage done to your lungs is as bad as, well, if it's as bad as they're saying it is, don't you want to have some Ricola? Don't you want some Ricola on hand? Do you want to make sure that you have your inhaler, your rescue inhaler? Don't you want to make sure, you know, I could go through the list and turn this into a prepping episode. But let's just think, if this is a respiratory issue, what are the things that will not be available at the store? And how can you maintain the highest level of personal hygiene while you deal with this? Seriously, if you haven't been to Walmart, if you haven't been to Target, if you haven't been to Kroger, if you haven't been to the grocery stores, Trader Joe's, there are things that are leaving the shelves. The way that we stock stuff, it's not like there's a massive inventory behind the scenes. In the effort, in the interest, in the chase to become as efficient as possible, we now operate on I believe it's called a just ready or just enough, just ready, just enough stocking system. Shelves are stocked in the morning, mid-morning, afternoon, late afternoon, nighttime shift. Every place has a different schedule depending on how many shipments they're going to get. But it's not like they have a massive amount of inventory in the back that's endless. Or a massive amount of inventory in the back that's going to be able to support the community if everybody needs the same stuff at the same time. So wake up, stock, buy a few things. Get a couple of things right now, please. Don't be stuck in these Bernie bread lines. Don't put your hand out. Get to work and get a few things now so you don't have to go deal with this later. And by the way, I completely glossed over because I didn't even get to it. And this is, I guess the NBA suspending the season is big, but I didn't even talk about college basketball. All the championship games, it's going to be players, close family, and friends only, and there's going to be strict protocol for this to happen. These arenas are going to be empty if they don't push March Madness back. I mean, this is, I'll need a historian to point out what we're really looking at here, but is this stuff unprecedented? I remember in 1990, what was that, 93, 94? 94? When the Cleveland Indians, when Major League Baseball suspended their season. And that was the year the Indians could have went to the World Series. That would have been 94 because they did go the next year, 95. That was when Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton, Carlos Baerga, Sandy Alomar, Charles Nagy, where that whole team was coming up at the same time. And we hit a hot streak and we were ready to take over the division and go. And then the season was ended. I don't remember basketball having this. Football had the strike. That was 80. Was that 85 right before Bernie Kosar? But March Madness, I mean, we're really going to play these games? We're going to play these games, these March Madness games, with no fans. So that's really our plan. March Madness, no fans. Anyway, let me get through this story here. The Utah Jazz said in a statement that the player tested negative for influenza, strep throat, and an upper respiratory infection. The individual's symptoms diminished over the course of Wednesday. However, in a precautionary measure and in consultation and cooperation with the NBA medical staff and Oklahoma health officials, the decision was made to test for COVID-19. The Jazz said that they immediately informed the league office when it was determined the player needed to be tested. The individual is currently in the care of health officials in Oklahoma City, the Jazz said. Players from teams the Jazz have faced within the past 10 days are being told to self-quarantine, a source told ESPN's Brian Windhorst. During that time period, Utah has played, take a guess who? The Indians were 144. Bruh. 1987. Imagine all the F-bombs. During that time, the Utah Jazz played the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, the Detroit Pistons, and the Toronto Raptors. The starting lineups were announced for Wednesday's game, and it appeared the event was ready to start. Then, after conversation among the officials, the teams went back to the locker rooms, and the officials left the floor. The Thunder's mascot and the team's hype crew, the Storm Chasers, tried to keep a full house of fans entertained during the delay. The halftime entertainment was moved up to pregame. The postponement announcement came about 35 minutes after the scheduled tip-off, with the public address announcer saying the decision was made due to unforeseen circumstances. Oh, so here we are. It's in the middle of the sporting world now. So the Jazz center Rudy Gobert has coronavirus. Juventus defender Regani tests positive for the virus. Michigan and Ohio State, that team up north in Ohio State cancels spring football games. Nebraska's coach is hospitalized. Nebraska coach Fred Hoiberg. He looked ill on the bench, head down. Hoiberg was sick, but he wanted to coach. He's had 2 open heart surgeries. Okay, not coronavirus related yet, but possible. All right, here's the other big story. The NCAA hoops tournaments will be played without fans. The NCAA made the unprecedented decision Wednesday to hold its men's and women's basketball tournaments without fans because of the ongoing coronavirus crisis. That's a tough one. And I guess people have mostly given up on saying what's in the next sentence here. Everybody's pretty much calling it just the coronavirus, despite efforts to try to change it. It's like when Rob Manfred didn't like the Cleveland Indians logo, and he had to bribe the All-Star game to get the Dolans to get rid of it. They suspended the logo. They put it on timeout. The coronavirus crisis. While I understand how disappointing this is for all fans of our sports, my decision is based on the current understanding of how COVID-19 is progressing in the United States. NCAA President Mark Emmert said in a statement, "This decision is in the best interest of public health, including that of coaches, administrators, fans, and, most importantly, our student athletes. We recognize the opportunity to compete in an NCAA national championship is an experience of a lifetime for the students and their families. Today, we will move forward and conduct championships consistent with the current information and will continue to monitor and make adjustments as needed." Emmert told the Associated Press that canceling was considered. "We recognize our tournaments bring people from all around the country together," Emmert told the AP in a phone interview. "They're not just regional events. They're big national events. It's a very, very hard decision for all the obvious reasons." Other items Emmert told the AP. The NCAA is looking into moving the men's Final Four from Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium to a smaller arena. The NCAA will consider using smaller venues for the men's regionals currently scheduled to be played in the Toyota Center in Houston, Madison Square Garden in New York, Staples Center in Los Angeles, and Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. All sites for next week's men's games will remain the same unless conditions in those areas force relocation. Emmert said a protocol for the medical screening of people entering the arenas is still being worked out, along with what constitutes essential staff and how to define family members. CBS and Turner plan to broadcast the games as usual. Other media members will be allowed into the arenas to cover the games, but how many is still being determined. Wednesday's decision applies to more than just the men's and women's basketball. All NCAA-sponsored championships will be affected, including hockey's Frozen Four, April 9 through 11 in Detroit, and wrestling, March 19 through 21 in Minneapolis. The NCAA announcement came after Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said he would issue an order that would ban fans from NCAA tournament games in Cleveland and First Four games in Dayton. Okay, so this is martial law. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is instituting martial law. Right or wrong? Right or wrong, it's happening. Yeah, you guessed it right, David. That's the Cavs. Imagine no Kentucky Derby, says Michael. I already did. I bought a Derby pin today. And I said, hey, this could be valuable someday. This will be the Derby pin for the year that you didn't run the Derby. And you thought I was being a little excessive in my concern of this. I had a hunch. I've had a lot of hunches over the years. And I was told by my significant other today, oh, you're loving this. You're loving this. You love this. You just love seeing the panic on the shoppers. And I said, no. She's like, you live for this. Because I've been studying a lot of things for a lot of years. And I was a Boy Scout. They told me to be prepared. So I've tried to research and study and learn about these types of things. And I said, no, I'm not loving this. I go, but it is nice after so many years being told, oh, I'm over-exaggerating. Oh, I'm making something out of nothing. Oh, you're worrying too much. We don't need to put energy into that. Just a lot of dismissals. Once again, this isn't to say that the coronavirus is going to kill 98% of the population like in the movie The Stand or the book The Stand by Stephen King. What I am saying that the impact on the global economy, on travel, on tourism, on sports, the massive detrimental impact that this has had across the globe is, I don't want to say unprecedented. Because in 1918, the flu that wiped out, what was it, 50 million people? 40 million people? 45 million people? I got to check the stats again. That was pretty massive. But the economic impact of South by Southwest, Stagecoach, Coachella, the NBA, I mean, it's gatherings of 1,000 or more people. It's just, they're just not happening. This is a kind of uncharted territory. And it is weird. It is weird. It is weird. It's weird that when you compare this to the swine flu, when you compare this H1N1 to, some of these other viruses. I know I added an extra syllable there. I know I pronounced syllable wrong. When you compare this to other viruses that have come through, such as COVID, such as H1N1, I love when I hit reset and come back and still flub the line. The numbers, 1,200 people dead in the United States, I believe, for swine flu or H1N1. There's so many of them. It's the avian flu, it's SARS, it's MERS, it's, every year something's going to kill us. 2012, it was going to be the Mayan calendar. Every year it's something. I get it. And my point hasn't ever been that any one of the Y2K. My point has never been that any of these things in their totality will end us all. My point has always been, hey, maybe grab an extra case of water. Hey, maybe get an extra month of your medication. Maybe save a little bit of your money and don't spend it all. Hey, maybe worry about self-defense. Maybe get to know your neighbors. Maybe try to figure out how to do some stuff on your own. Maybe all these things might be useful skills to have at some point down the road for some reason. Because every one of those things that I mentioned could have been the pandemic that we're experiencing now. My other concern about this pandemic is that I've heard that it's mutated multiple times. And if this has been designed, and by the way, is it official that this was created in a bioweapons lab in China? Are there people still disputing that? Or is someone still saying that there was soup with a bat in it sold at a market and that's what did this? Because I think it was right across the street or diagonal or right around the corner from a Chinese bioweapons lab in Wuhan. What if it was designed to mutate? What if this is actually worse than we think? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the point is, just be prepared. Just be prepared a little bit. This is wreaking havoc on all things. So, once again, what are you sipping on? Leave it in your comments. I mean, this is a massive news day. Massive. And this really is where my worlds combine, where agree to disagree meets the unhappy hour. Let me wrap this story up and then I'll get going here. Type any comments you have into the... Oh, I'm sorry. I am getting some comments. Sorry if I... Matt, how do I pronounce your last name? Zamaya? I'm sorry. Did I say Matt? I meant Mike. Mike Zamaya. Zamaya. Mike says, I have not seen anything on canceling the season. They have suspended the season as of now and will evaluate going forward on the next step, but that's all I heard. They're planning to resume. Yes, that is accurate. That is my understanding as well. And in reading this story, thank you, I'll like that comment. In reading this story, he said, oh, where's that one line? Yeah, there you go. Oh, I guess this is NCAA, but it's the same thing. Today we'll move forward and conduct championships consistent with the current information, and we'll continue to monitor and make adjustments as needed. So, I mean, any smart commissioner, so we can exclude Rob Manfred from this, that guy needs to be removed immediately and put in stockade for what he did not do to punish the Houston Astros and for forcing the Indians to lose their beloved cartoon mascot. Rob Manfred is ruining the game of baseball. He needs to be removed immediately. But any competent commissioner of a sport would leave wiggle room when they find more information about a rapidly changing situation. So if the general public decides to calm the hell down and get back to doing what they're doing, then maybe they could bring the season back. I don't see it on the horizon. I don't think we've peaked. I don't think the Dow is done dropping. I don't think the shelves are done being emptied. I think there's a panic, and I think people want to stay away from places and people and avoid interactions. And as that happens, you're going to see a domino effect throughout our economy that's just going to get worse on top of itself. So the reality is, we're in the middle of something here, and it's just a little better be prepared. Get to know your neighbors. Get your plans together. Get your gear. Get a bug out bag. Get some water purification devices. Self-defense. Just medication. Long-term food storage. A way to cook it. A game plan. Some medications. To some cleaning supplies. So anyway, yes, I get what you're saying, Mike. David says, Indian Wells tennis tournament has been postponed, I believe. Yes, that is true. That is accurate. What is the NHL going to do? Maybe it doesn't survive on ice. Oh, you could either laugh or cry, right? David is saying over 50 million people were infected. I believe that was for the 1918 Spanish influenza. I'm going to wrap this up here. Many conference tournaments will be played without fans. Also, the National Association of Basketball Coaches and the Women's Basketball Coaches Association each canceled their annual Final Four conventions on Wednesday. March Madness hits another level next week with the start of NCAA tournament to crown a national champion. One of the most popular events on the American sports calendar. The 68-team men's field is scheduled to be announced Sunday, and the 64-team women's field is set to be unveiled Monday. There are 8 first and second round sites for the men's tournament, scheduled to be played Cleveland State, St. Louis, Albany, New York, Omaha, Nebraska, Sacramento, California, I don't understand how they wrote this. It doesn't say Cleveland, Ohio. It says Cleveland, St. Louis, Albany, New York, Omaha, Nebraska, Sacramento, California, Spokane, Washington, and Tampa, Florida. Should it say Cleveland, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, or St. Louis? What is it? St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, St. Louis, Kansas. Sorry, that's a joke about President Trump in the Super Bowl. The 4 regional sites for the weekend of the tournament are Indianapolis, Los Angeles, Houston, New York, Final Four in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, with the semifinals on April 4, championship game April 6. Blah, blah, blah. There you go. For most people, the coronavirus causes only mild or moderate symptoms such as fever and cough. For some, especially older adults and people with existing health problems, it can cause more severe illness, including pneumonia. The vast majority of people recover from the virus. So there you go, guys. There's just a lot happening. All right, the super rich. One more story and I'll be done. Super rich jet off to disaster bunkers amid coronavirus outbreak. Self-isolate for some of the world's richest means COVID-19 tests abroad, personal medics, and subterranean hideouts. A former Army munitions bunker in South Dakota is repurposed for a doomsday community. Like hundreds of thousands of people across the world, the super rich are preparing to self-isolate in the face of an escalation in the coronavirus crisis, but their plans extend far beyond stocking up on hand sanitizer and TV box sets. The world's richest people are chartering private jets to set off for holiday homes or specially prepared disaster bunkers in countries that so far appear to have avoided the worst of the COVID-19 outbreak. Many are understood to be taking personal doctors or nurses on their flights to treat them and their families in the event that they become infected. The wealthy are also besieging doctors in private clinics in Harley Street, London, and across the world, demanding private coronavirus tests. By the way, I'm sorry, I might have buried the lead here. The reason I'm so concerned about getting prepared, I went to Walmart. This is a personal story. I went to Walmart, and I was searching for, what was I doing? Getting Brita filters. They were in a weird spot. Just, you want to make sure your water's as clean as you can get it. And during the walk, I ended up going across the whole damn store. Said, so have you seen a lot of interesting activity the past couple days? Like, yeah, a little bit. And the guy says, yeah, the other day, my coworker comes into the break room and tells me this story. He said he was stocking the shelves, and this guy comes up and he says, "Hey man, where's this hand sanitizer?" And he looked at the empty shelves and he said, "Yeah, we're sold out of that. I don't have any." And the guy got in close to him and said, "Stop messing around. Tell me where the hand sanitizer is and give it to me, or I'm going to shoot you." So, I was having this conversation today that when you watch these zombie movies, it's not literally people that crave brains. It's a metaphor. It's a freaking metaphor. They don't have the brains to conduct themselves, so they turn into dumb zombies. I was shopping and getting some toilet paper, which is essentially something that people are laughing at now. And I get it. But there was a lady that said, and she'd been hanging out in this aisle for a long time doing nothing, just complaining that there was no Clorox wipes, that there was no hand sanitizer on the other shelf. When we picked it up, it was like, "You got enough of that? You want to save any for the rest of us?" I'm like, "You're standing in the aisle. You can purchase some if you wish. Good day, lady." So you encounter the zombies. These are people that act out. People that their plan is to use violence against people who have prepared. This is the most dangerous, dumb plan that you could have, short of not having a plan. It's the worst plan of all the plans. The only thing worse than that plan is having no plan and paralysis through analysis. Thank you, Jose. What up, buddy? God, I've had so much elementary school conversations over the past couple weeks. I got to catch up with you, man. You're teaching at my alma mater. Yeah, Jose says, "You're crazy until you're not crazy." Thank you. And so, yeah, when I was confronted with, "Oh, you're loving this, aren't you?" I said, "No, I mean, this is not a drill. This is weird. I haven't seen anything like this. And it's not that the disease is this deadly, it's the impact, the cascading dominoes, the impact, the pile of human filth flowing downhill because of this. It is the perfect bioweapon. It is completely destroying our economy. And you better have a few things in your pantry, or you're going to be fighting zombies in the streets who would rather sit and gripe about what you're doing than take care of their damn selves." Back to this story. To avoid overwhelming limited testing facilities, the NHS said it would test only people with a high chance of having the illness, meaning people who had close contact with a confirmed case or who recently had gone to high-risk country. Mark Ali, chief executive and medical director of the private Harley Street Clinic, said, "This has led to huge demand from very wealthy people asking if they can pay for private testing. Unfortunately, we are unable to offer testing, as the NHS has said all tests should be done centrally." There you go. There's your centralized healthcare. If you let the free market decide, you can complain that hand sanitizer is $75, or you could appreciate that somebody was out there and able to go get it and wait in line and fight through the zombies. Yes, Jose, I love you, brother. Dropping dimes of wisdom, this Jose. I'm glad you're a teacher. He says, "I equate this situation to the same reason you carry a spare tire in your car." Let me tell you, on a recent trip up to where I'm from, where Jose is, my tire blew out on the freeway. I don't know that I've ever had that happen. Pulled off to a safe location once I figured out what was going on. Called AAA, we got it. That spare tire saved us. It saved us. So yes, it's the same reason why you carry a spare tire in your car. Beautiful. But the free market is supposed to decide this stuff. You have shortages and rationing when you turn this into a central situation. And I'm not saying the super rich deserve to live in it more than anybody else. What I'm saying is that if somebody has hand sanitizer, they should be able to sell it on eBay for $75 if they want. What I'm saying is it would have been great if you would have had a little bit of this stuff in your house and wouldn't be making a mad dash and a rush and a panic into the store, causing a scene. Anyway, the huge demand from people asking for testing, but it has to be carried out centrally. However, an employee at another Harley Street practice, who declined to be named, said their clinic had arranged for concerned clients to be tested in other countries or for samples to be sent abroad for testing. Ali, a cardiovascular surgeon, said his clients had pleaded for COVID-19 vaccination, even though scientists said it would be at least a year until a vaccine was developed. The COVID-19 outbreak certainly fired up people's reactions, Ali said. We have given a lot of general flu vaccinations and consultations to people wanting to talk in detail about their health and lifestyle. Ali said his clinic was also offering the worried wealthy an intravenous infusion. Another weird sentence. Third weird sentence in about 10 minutes. Ali said his clinic was also offering the worried wealthy an intravenous infusion of vitamins and minerals to boost their immune systems. We know 90% of adults have a deficiency in vitamins. What better to improve that than an IV immune boost? An intravenous infusion ensures instant and optimal delivery of these nutrients to the body cells, and the nutrients should include vitamins such as vitamin C, vitamin B12 complex, glutathione, zinc, and essential amino acids such as arginine, taurine, lysine, and citrulline. The treatment costs £350. Ken Lagone, co-founder of the Home Depot chain, knew where to turn when seeking medical advice on the outbreak. The 84-year-old billionaire called an executive and top scientist at NYU Langone Health, the New York hospital named after him and which he chairs. What I've been told by people who are smarter than me in disease is, quote, as of right now, it's a bad flu, he told Bloomberg. Adam Twidle, chief executive of the private jet booking service PrivateFly, said his firm was continuing to see a jump in bookings as wealthy people arranged evacuation flights home from high-risk countries. He said, quote, many are from groups which include elderly passengers or those with health conditions that make them particularly concerned about exposure to crowds on airline flights. We've just flown a group back to London from the south of France with an immunocompromised passenger on board. Twidell said other rich clients were arranging flights out of the UK and other European countries in advance of the possible introduction of nationwide quarantine measures, followed by Italy's lead. Quintessentially, the concierge company for millionaires said members who could not quite afford private jets had requested access to private airport lounges to avoid the risk of interacting with large numbers of the traveling public. Members who are traveling commercially are choosing to book elite services at airports, not your typical first-class lounge, a spokeswoman said. For example, private terminals where guests are greeted and given their own suite. Check-in, customs, and security are all done privately, and guests are then being taken to the doors of the aircraft. Members can request for the jetty to be cleared so that they minimize the interactions with other passengers on their way to their seat. Quintessentially said one of its members had converted his home into a military-style bunker and was refusing any visitors unless they could provide detailed records of their movements and contacts. Robert Vicino, founder and chief executive of Vivos Group, a California-based company constructing underground shelters designed to withstand a range of natural disasters and catastrophes, said his firm had seen a surge in inquiries and sales since the crisis took hold. Vivos has converted a Cold War bunker in Indiana into an accommodation for 80 people, and is offering space in 575 concrete bunkers in an abandoned Second World War ordnance depot in South Dakota. What is this? Okay. All right, well, there's that. All right, well. Can a face mask stop coronavirus? Tom Hanks and wife Rita Wilson test positive for coronavirus in Australia. What is a pandemic? European travel suspended for 30 days by President Trump. All right. Yeah. All right. Chris saying, thank God the NBA sucks. I mean, you know. Jose, lock it in, avoid crowds. Yeah, lock it in, avoid crowds. Italy should be a warning. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is. Newsweek, young, unafraid coronavirus pandemic. Good. You now stop killing people. Read this to the listeners. Well, I don't know if I can on the. Can I click broadcast interrupted? How do I? All right, I'm back. Are you guys still here? Read this to the listeners. Fine, Manuel Jose Adravet. If those are your three real names. It's good seeing you, dude. You've always been a great dude. I always liked you, man. All right, here I pulled this up, and I will read this to the listeners. But I had to I had to pause the live stream, and then get back to it over here. So, well, Newsweek opinion. This does seem to be a pretty woke site. Talking about Trump bungling coronavirus and a woman of color as VP is a necessity, and women are losing with the Taliban agreement. Okay, but they did get this right. Bernie Sanders is wrong to praise Castro's literacy program. All right, so with a grain of salt, I'll wade into the waters of Newsweek. Upon your request. Young and unafraid of the coronavirus pandemic? Good for you. Now stop killing people. This is opinion column. It says a doctor in Western Europe. I'm a doctor in a major hospital in Western Europe. Watching you Americans and you Brits in these still early days of the coronavirus pandemic is like watching a familiar horror movie, where the protagonists, yet again, split into pairs or decide to take a tour of a dark basement. The real-life versions of this behavior are pretending that it's just a flu, keeping schools open, following through with your holiday travel plans, and going into the office daily. This is what we did in Italy. We were so complacent that even when people with coronavirus symptoms started turning up, we wrote each off as a nasty case of the flu. We kept the economy going, pointed fingers at China, and urged tourists to keep traveling. And the majority of us told ourselves and each other, this isn't so bad, we're young, we're fit, we'll be fine even if we catch it. Fast forward 2 months and we're drowning. Statistically speaking, judging by the curve in China, we are not even at the peak yet, but our fatality rate is at over 6%, double the known global average. And that, by the way, pause. That's my biggest concern here. For all the people saying, oh, this is just to hurt President Trump, or yeah, China did this to buy up the stock market's cheap. Okay, well, these Democrats over 3.5 years have proven they'll do anything, including lying and fabricating stories, over and over and over and over and over again, whether it's the Kavanaugh kids, whether it's the Covington kids, Justice Kavanaugh, Stormy Daniels' collusion and impeachment and all sorts of stuff. The Democrats will do that. They would politicize any event, let alone a cascading black swan economic collapse brought on by China. China. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with. So there's some people saying this is being blown out of proportion, and in a way that is accurate. But in another way, they're saying it's double the known global average. Well, 6% is double the known global death average if you believe any of the crap China's telling you. I have believed zero of what China's been not telling us. Continuing on, put aside statistics, here's how it looks in practice. Most of my childhood friends are now doctors working in North Italy. In Milan, in Bergamo, in Padua, they are having to choose between intubating a 40-year-old with 2 kids, a 40-year-old who is fit and healthy with no comorbidities, and a 60-year-old with a high blood pressure because they don't have enough beds. In the hallway, meanwhile, there are another 15 people waiting who are already hardly breathing and need oxygen. The army is trying to bring some of them to other regions with helicopters, but it's not enough. The flow is just too much. Too many people are getting sick at the same time. We are still awaiting the peak of the epidemic in Europe, probably early April for Italy, mid-April for Germany and Switzerland. Somewhere around that time for the UK. In the US, the infection has only just begun. When was this printed? 3/11. That's, I missed 3/11 day? All mixed up, don't know what to do. Next thing you turn around and find that you have the flu. The coronavirus was a thing, and I thought it would pass. It knocked me right on my ass. There's a song in here, right? Come on, someone help me write this song. Or splice that part out. Splice that part out as a separate video, and let's rewrite that song. I want to redo it. All mixed up, thought it's just the flu. Next thing you turn around and... Oh, that was funny, man. But until we're past the peak of infection, the only solution is to impose social restrictions. So, martial law. And if your government is hesitating, these restrictions are up to you. Stay put. Do not travel. Cancel that family reunion, the promotion party, and the big night out. This really sucks, but these are special times. Don't take risks. Do not go to places where you are more than 20 people in the same room. It's not safe and it's not worth it. But why the urgency if most people survive? Here's why. Fatality is the wrong yardstick. Catching the virus can mess up your life in many, many more ways than just straight up killing you. We are all young. Okay. Even if we get the bug, we'll survive. Fantastic. How about needing 4 months of physical therapy before you even feel human again? Or getting scar tissue in your lungs and having your activity level restricted for the rest of your life? Not to mention having every chance of catching another bug in a hospital while you're being treated or waiting to get checked with an immune system distracted by even the false alarm of an ordinary flu. No travel or leisure or business is worth this risk. Now, odds are you might catch the coronavirus and might not even get symptoms. Great, good for you. Very bad for everyone else. From your own grandparents to the random older person who got on the subway train a stop or two after you got off. You're fine. You're barely even sneezing or coughing, but you're walking around after you kill a couple old ladies without even knowing it. Is that fair? You tell me. My personal, as well as professional view. We all have a duty to stay put, except for very special reasons, like you go to work because you work in healthcare, or you have to save a life and bring someone to a hospital, or go out to shop for food so you can survive. But when we get to the stage of a pandemic, it's really important not to spread the bug. The only thing that helps is social restriction. Ideally, the government should issue that instruction and provide a financial fallback. Compensate business owners, ease the financial load on everyone as much as possible, and reduce the incentive of risking your life or the lives of others just to make ends meet. Excuse me. But if your government or company is slow on the uptake, don't be that person. Take responsibility. For all but essential movement, restrict yourself. This is Epidemiology 101. It really sucks. It is extreme, but luckily we don't have pandemics of this violence every year. So sit it out. Stay put. Don't travel. It is absolutely not worth it. It's the civic and moral duty of every person, everywhere, to take part in the global effort to reduce the threat to humanity. To postpone any movement or travel that is not vitally essential and to spread the disease as little as possible. Have your fun in June, July, and August when this, hopefully, is over. Stay safe. Good luck. You know what? I gotta finish this. There's something underneath this. Hygiene advice. World Health Organization advice for avoiding the spread of coronavirus disease, COVID-19. Hygiene advice. Clean hands frequently with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub. Wash hands after coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick, before, during, and after food preparation, before eating, after using the toilet, when hands are visibly dirty, and after handling animals or waste. Maintain at least 1 meter or 3 feet distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching your hands, nose, and mouth. Do not spit in public. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue or bent elbow when coughing or sneezing. Discard the tissue immediately and clean your hands. Medical advice. If you feel unwell with a fever, cough, difficulty breathing, etc., seek medical care early and call local health authorities in advance. Stay up to date on COVID-19 developments issued by health authorities and follow their guidance. Mask usage. Healthy individuals only need to wear a mask if taking care of a sick person. Wear a mask if you are coughing or sneezing. Masks are effective when used in combination with frequent hand cleaning. Do not touch the mask while wearing it. Clean your hands if you touch the mask. Learn how to properly put on, remove, and dispose of masks. Clean hands after disposing of mask. Do not reuse single-use masks. All right, just read it. Jose, thank you, man. That was a good one. But type your thoughts. I want to see what you're thinking. Just a lot to report. A lot to report today. This has been... Man, there's so much going on. And it looks like Bernie's kind of knocked out. The coronavirus conference has been canceled because of the coronavirus. Common sense is not so common. Well said. All right, look. Yeah, Bernie's not going to drop out of the race. We'll see where that goes. Still pushing revolution. We'll see. Looks like Joe Biden, possibly, probably. Harvey Weinstein got 23 years in jail. He suggested Jennifer Aniston be killed over a sexual assault claim. Okay. Not important right now. It's all about COVID-19. What's this? Hordes of starving monkeys are seen storming empty streets as tourists stay away. Where's this? Is this COVID-19 related? What? Come on. Last story. I said that a few times. Thailand. Normally well-fed primates had no food after coronavirus fears left the normally busy streets in Thailand completely empty of tourists. Oh, God. Hundreds of starving monkeys fought over a single banana that was left in the street. After they spotted a fellow monkey holding a banana. What? The onlooker who filmed the banana brawl said they looked more like wild dogs than monkeys. They went crazy for the single piece of food. I've never seen them this aggressive. I think the monkeys were very, very hungry. There's normally a lot of tourists here to feed the monkeys, but now not as many because of the coronavirus. All right, that's enough internet for the day. Good grief. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. Try to remember to get some good sleep. It's very important. Signing off. To be continued. Leave your comments below. Subscribe. Check out previous content. Connect with us on social media. Thanks.